checking out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, Radford pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as the valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone.
There I am. It's already been a weird morning with the studio today. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room and on the Professional Door Incorporated text line. That's 391-0788. Coming up today on the program, Tim Miller will join us from Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, and Todd Grantham. No Coach Elmo because he gets his computer back tomorrow. So we'll see if we can get him on tomorrow morning. If not, we will have him on Wednesday morning, but we'll figure it out. It was good to see Coach Elmo. He popped up in the press box yesterday. He said, "Hey, I'm here at the game. Are you here?" I said, yeah, I'm in the press box. So he came on up and said, hey, it was great. Great to see him. He had been fishing. So today it's Monday, and Mondays are always what they are. And we wake up and it's pouring down rain and it's 55 degrees. May the 11th. It'll be a miserable, miserable weather day. Yeah. Hey, good morning, Stephen. What's up, T-Bird? Hope everybody's doing okay. And I hope, again, if your mom is still with you, that you were able to have a good Mother's Day with her, as everyone needs to. We had a beautiful day yesterday, senior day at the ball field. And we had a lot of moms. I met 3 folks who don't show up in chat that watched the show that came up and said hello. It was great. Thank you so much for taking the time. That was awesome. So that was cool. That was cool. You tend to forget how many people that aren't necessarily here in the mornings. As a matter of fact, a couple of them specifically said that in the mornings they don't usually get up and watch, but they go back and make sure they watch it the same day or the very next day so they don't lose track. So that's great. Appreciate that. Let's thank all of our sponsors, shall we? Family Fencing Studios. Get a free quote, 540-200-8294 from Family Fencing at familyfencingnrv.com. Mark Hundley's right off of Walters Drive, 155 Walters Drive, and you can go and let him try to figure out what's going on with your body, your back, your whatever, your hip, whatever might be hurting. He's got all sorts of the latest technology to push you through the works and get a absolute complete diagnosis. Go see Mark. Tell him we sent you, and you'll be very glad that you did. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Tim Miller's going to be on, talk about the racing this weekend, what's coming up this week. Little River Heating and Air, that's Charles Lee, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Thanks to them. The attorney, Ryan Pryor, BDST fan question of the week, brought to you by the attorney, Ryan Pryor. Trust and estate planning. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply in Christiansburg, 540-381-8011, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Appreciate their help. National Bank, member FDIC. It is the exclusive banking partner of this program and of me. I'm very, very open to talk about, well, not the particulars of my refinancing, but the experience that I had. And I've told many people, unbelievable experience. Professional Door Incorporated, that's Travis Williams in Dublin. Commercial residential garage doors, better than anybody. 38 years in business, sponsor of our text line right across from New River Community College. Bob Chris, the Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com. Your high school team, middle school team, rec league team, whatever, can earn money quickly. If you need equipment, reach out to Bob, B-O-B, C-R-I-S-T, at Gmail. Our shirts are $20 if you want them, by the way. Sundown Electric, the Smith Brothers, excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients, and superior craftsmanship, honesty, and they do their best to keep their prices down. They're down in Elliston. Reach out to them. The NRV Super Bowl, 540-382-5525. Thanks to Terry, 25 years in business. And reserve your lanes for the weekend. We're going to have our bash over there as well. And I think that's everybody. Top Shelf Apparel with Brandon, 4377 Lee Highway up in Dublin. I think that's everybody. Hello, Ash. I'll just keep it short. From the Vulcan statue in Birmingham, where defensive schemes are being drawn up by one Todd Grantham up there in the NRV, to the new Palm Coast. Hey, the new Palm Coast. We're eager to learn a new defensive program. What's going on, Morris? So the weather's terrible. So you're growing up, you just go about your, T-Bird, Coach Elmo, we'll talk about it when we get him on. He said he had a pretty big bass and it broke his line. His line snapped. And, of course, my thing is, likely story, Coach. The fish that got away, he was laughing. So when you're younger and you're growing up, and I remember my dad, because we grew up on a farm, so the weather dictated a lot. The weather let you know the kind of day you were going to have. whether you were going to work really, really hard all day, whether your dad was going to be mad because he was limited. So as you get older, trust me, younger folk, as you get older, the weather does play a major part in your mood and how your emotions are affected. Like today is just going to be utter and complete crap, right? I mean, we got rain, heavy rain, actually, till around 2 o'clock. The sun's supposed to come back out right before dusk. Tomorrow is nicer, more heavy rain on Wednesday. And then finally, it looks like we get into some, semblance of May summertime temperatures coming up Saturday. So it is what they say it is, but it does affect your mood. You get up and you see this kind of day and you're like, oh boy, is it Monday? You better believe it's Monday. It's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah. All right. So it would be interesting is a good word to have a video and hear Coach Elmo, the adjectives with his fishing line being broken. We'll have to see what angers him most when a defensive player's not doing what they are told to do, or when a smallmouth or largemouth bass breaks his line. What brings him the most consternation? So Virginia Tech softball is not going to host. And I was keeping up with some of this because I wasn't aware of this. I just assumed they were going to host, right? They did not win the ACC championship. They lost 2-1 to Florida State. I think still a definite threat to go to the College World Series. So apparently, according to Sam Musto, Natalie Honan, who is the selection committee's chair for the softball tournament, said that the NCAA denied Virginia Tech's bid to host because graduation is next weekend and the hotels in the 30-mile radius are limited. The quote from Honan was, Virginia Tech did not meet the requirements to host. Then she followed up to say that did not come into our decision of the top 16 seeds. Then there are some folks saying that Tech told them ahead of time that they couldn't host, which I find difficult to believe. Maybe they did. But I don't believe Natalie Honan. This Virginia Tech team, I mean, if you're sitting there and you're just looking at hotel availability, and that's how you're going through your seating. First of all, she's not being truthful. You seated it in a way to where Tech would not be one of the top 16 because of the alleged lack of hotels. And now Tech has to go to the LSU Regional in Baton Rouge. And by the way, wink, wink, Tech not being chosen gives another place to an SEC team. Tech 46-10 on the year. They have a better resume than LSU in every way, shape, and form. So this whole thing is I need to look more into it today. I woke up to this information. That doesn't sound honest. It doesn't sound truthful. And I understand. Look, I completely understand that there are things that happen, right? And you're saying hotels within 30 miles. What about Roanoke? I mean, are you really going to punish the school and the team because of hotel availability? I don't know. Interesting. And hotel prices get jacked up around events like that, especially graduation. You do have to guarantee hotel for teams if you're hosting. So that's something that you do have to consider. And you can't pre-book the hotels because you don't know if you're going to be in a situation where you're going to host and so forth. But someone asked this question. Let's say Tech had ended the season ranked in the top 5, right? And they were guaranteed a top 8 seed regardless of the ACC tournament outcome. So does this mean that if they had graduation, they wouldn't be hosting? So the committee is trying to use that, saying they weren't one of the top 16 seeds, which is interesting. So there's a lot of angry Tech fans I'm seeing on this, just looking up. And so Tech's not going to get the host. They are not going to get the host. So there you go. So everybody who wanted to watch Tech host a regional, does this mean they can come back and host a super regional if they win? Could they put in for that? Sure, because it's not graduation weekend. But the committee's trying to say that Tech was not selected as a host anyway. So I don't know. Just it was interesting. But I've never heard this all being controlled by hotel availability. But hey, we'll see. Maybe that gives them a chip on their shoulder and they can go out there and use that as a dissing and so forth. Everything is so tied into money and politics. Every decision that's made has gotten to the point to where it used to be the confines of it, things were chosen to happen a certain way. Now nobody is being, people are just being very upfront about it right now. And now people are blaming Tech's administration, all these things. But you still have to play the games. And you still have to go out and do those things. Now, what about Tech baseball? They're supposed to host Georgia Tech during homecoming weekend this fall. There's somebody being facetious. In football, other sports. I thought that was pretty funny. But anyway, thought that was interesting. So Tech's not hosting. They're going to Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge. 2-1. Appreciate Big Al giving me updates on the game. I was at Radford Baseball. Apparently they had the bases loaded in the 6th and could not score. And I wonder if, winning that game, I don't think we'd be talking about this if they had won the game. I really don't. It would have been an interesting explanation if they had won the game as ACC champs, and surely they would have been a top 16 seed. And then they came forward and said, hey, we can't. But I saw some folks saying that they were claiming Tech reached out and said they couldn't host. I can't imagine a school would be proactive trying to say you couldn't host. Now, the 30-minute rule is for the teams, not for fans, by the way. Thanks, Craig. I appreciate that. I should have clarified that on our text line. So, in other words, you don't want your teams that are going to be playing in the regional to have to drive further than 30 miles. I know when we travel for Radford basketball, we never stay we usually stay within, 15, 20 miles if we can. At most, you usually are a lot closer. It's usually you want to be right around the block or just down the road or up the road. So Tech softball, another just a confusing, weird thing happening around Tech athletics. Very, very strange. More stuff came out with Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini. More video. And take it for what it's worth. But what is it? Is it Pro Football News? Whatever it is, saying that there's growing consensus that Pro Football Focus, that Vrabel was going to take a leave of absence for the year, maybe. This thing's not going to go away because there hasn't been any accountability. So it just keeps coming. I mean, it just keeps coming. And it's going to be very difficult for this team to settle in and have any type of season, in my opinion, until this is resolved. Now, we on our show here, you all were very adamant in saying that nothing was going to happen to Mike Vrabel. And I tend to agree with you. But how much can continue to be very, very ignored? Not a word from the Patriots at all. At all. And it continues, things just continue to pop up and all these rumors are circulating. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. I have not, T-Bird. I have not tried the Gatorade Zero drink mix. I have not. I haven't done any flavored water yet. I don't mind like this. To me, I can do this, as long as it's over ice. So maybe you're right. Maybe I need to look into that. I don't like water in plastic bottles at all. So maybe I need to do that if I'm having it like that. I know I see the flavored water stuff all the time. God, I never thought I would even consider being flavored water guy. I feel like this kind of thing where you're sitting around somewhere, if you're at a concert or at a game and you're looking over and there's like a section and dudes keep looking over at you and you're like, what? He goes, hey man, by the way, by chance, do you consume flavored water? Look, yeah, I just started, okay? I might do that, T-Bird. I got to look into something. This is okay, though. I don't mind that at all. Don't mind that any way, shape, or form. No, not off the Pepsi, Matthew. Not off the DP, because my body is so immune and also addicted to the caffeine that I'll get too bad. I've cut down on it considerably. But no, I can't just get off of it because I get a headache. My head starts killing me. But I'm trying to be a little healthier. Dropped a little weight. I want to drop some more. Trying to do it the natural way. I'm not going to take the lame, cheap, unhealthy way of, getting shot up and then not doing anything and going, oh, don't I look great? Well, did you really earn it? Did you do anything? No, I don't like lemon in my tea, my ice water. I never have liked that. Yeah. No, I know a lot of people do. I just never have. I never have been that guy. I don't like fruit hanging in my drinks. Panera serves some nice flavor teas. Well, I'm sure they do. I understand too, Wayne, that Panera now has, in the teas that they serve, they've laced it with an automatic soldering liquid for the gum bleeding after you bite into one of their sandwiches. So, I mean, it's really, really good. What's up, Big Al? Thanks for the updates on Saturday. Hate that the Hokies didn't get that done. As a follow-up to Friday's show, Lioness on Prime by Taylor Sheridan. Outstanding. Okay. 2 seasons, renewed for a third. Military special ops led by women. Well, okay. Nicole Kidman. On that note, is Panera Monday, isn't it, Wade? Is it really? It's Panera Monday, huh? Have a nice cucumber water. Well, no, I'm not. Always the seeds. It's aloe for the after sandwich. It's so soothing. So in other words, Wayne, you're telling me that when you drink that tea, you kind of forget for a little while that you've lost several teeth in the process until later when you're in the car. What? Oh, that's right. If it's not, it should be, T-Bird says. You know what we should do when we have our meetup? If we get a decent crowd, we should go over and have a pregame over at the Panera. It's in Christiansburg. It's right close to and just see what we can get and see if we survive. Or if our mouths survive. Nature's Novocaine. A numbing lotion. Novocaine flavored tea. Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, that means you understand your business model. Big Al, that sounds more like a Disney production, by the way, than something on Prime. That sounds like a Disney influence show. Special ops forces led by women. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that seems to have limited appeal. Oh, Wayne's got a gold card. Yeah, he could just show his gold card and Panera, not recommended. No, not. And here's what's funny about it. When you say things like that, and of course we have a lot of fun with that. So I'm sitting there. This happened, was a Friday night's game. And we have a lot of young folks who, work on our staff and help with us. There's a lot of people that you have to put on a baseball game, right? And I heard two of the girls, their students, talking about they went to Panera. And one of the girls was complaining about she had a cut on her gum or something like that. And of course I chimed in, well, are you surprised? What are you talking about? I said, because you said, I just heard you guys saying you ate at Panera. Well, was the sandwich hard? And she went, yeah, it kind of was a little too done. I'm like, sometimes fiction just turns into truth. Oh, the VIPP, huh? Very important Panera person. But I thought that was pretty funny. She's talking about her gums being cut up and bleeding. I'm like, we should have warned you. If you watch BDST, you would have known. You would have known way ahead of time. What's up, Brandon, on the text line? No, I just don't like. My biggest thing is I've been there, and I personally have never thought this is satisfying in any way. Now, they do have a breakfast sandwich. I used to get sometimes their own version of a bacon, egg, and cheese, which was different. So I haven't had much. But there's nothing in there to me that appeals. I don't want soup. I don't want a sandwich and soup, especially soup that gets cold. So it's just your personal taste, right? There is always some truth in a good joke. Correct, Prometheus. And that truth was proven by two young ladies who had no idea that we talk about that here on the show, which I thought was very satisfying, to be honest with you. All right, so Wayne, we got to talk about Wayne. So Wayne, over the weekend, where were you, Wayne? You were at some kind of really cool, either antiques or some kind of show, I guess. But he found a Motley Crue lunchbox, and he bought, apparently, the Motley Crue lunchbox. Panera on the go, Carolina B. Oh, that's right, you were on vacation. Very cool. So that's a metal lunchbox, right? It looked like a metal lunchbox. That thing looked cool, man. There can't be a lot of those around in that condition. Please tell me it had the thermos. You have to dunk the brick slab of bread in the cold soup to soften it. Exactly. And I don't want to, that's not my idea of lunch. Oh, it was a remake, not the original. Well, that's disappointing. But hey, you still have a Motley Crue lunchbox. And that's really cool. That is really, really cool. The market for those old original lunchboxes is crazy hot right now. You can get some of those rares, 60, 70 shows or cartoons. Man, I tell you what, some of those things are just cool. They're, when you're little and you're younger, you're carrying it around. You think it's really big. And then when you hold one of them, you realize how small they were. That's all right. Doesn't matter whether it's a remake or not. It's nice. And it is metal. So there you go. Well done. That's a good purchase. Good purchase. Very well done. Chargers just signed David Njoku, the free agent tight end. He's been sitting there for a long, long time. Interesting. Very interesting. That just happened. The brick and soup pair well together. Yeah. Yes, it's not my bag, man. It's not my bag, man. Hey, I still thoroughly enjoy the Austin Powers trilogy. I do. And that was pre Beyonce getting very annoying and really having very little music ability, but winning all these awards and showing up everywhere. She was good in the third one. So you had Heather Graham in the second one. But, the OG Elizabeth Hurley. Yeah. Yeah, the only free agent Browns player worth anything because you have the best defensive player in the league. I mean, if you don't want Myles Garrett anymore, I will call George Payton in Denver and say, hey, Wayne tells me I wouldn't mind having him. I saw MJ movie, pretty good. I haven't seen it. I'll end up probably not going to the theater to see it. I don't have any desire to go to the theater anymore. Everything's too expensive. So Wayne, did you get snacks and a drink? What's the latest update? Like if you took your lovely wife Carol, I'm sure, while you're on vacay, what was like the 2 tickets, drinks, and a snack? Because you can't sit there the whole movie without something. You can't sit there without candy, snacks. You just can't. You've got to have something. I mean, you're looking at, I'm guessing the tickets had to be what, 10, 15 bucks a piece? And I know anything that you buy to eat's double digits now. It's like some of these baseball games, it's like $12 to $15 for a beer. A bad, warm, from the tap beer. What is a Brown? A Brown is former coach at the time, Paul Brown. Arguably one of the most important figures in NFL history. That's why they are the Cleveland Browns. $10 matinee. Okay. $18 popcorn and soda. So it is better. Yes. Yes. But yeah, the Browns are directly named right after Paul Brown. They were the powerhouse of the 40s in the NFL. The All-America Football Conference, as a matter of fact. Yeah. I went to a matinee Saturday in Richmond, $14 a ticket. Wow. I don't know. The last time I went to, we want to go to the theater. You want it to be a departure, right? I don't mind people being in there, but so many younger people are in there and they have their phones out. And it's just so annoying. Now, if you're on vacation, I wouldn't mind that at all. Going to see a movie like that. But I wouldn't want it to be a situation where I'm going to be annoyed. Enough annoys me to where I don't want to add something that I know is going to annoy me. Yeah, that's kind of the way I am too. Once it comes on, if I was going to pay money for the ticket, Prometheus, I'll go ahead and just buy it on. Okay, if I have to spend $4.99 to buy Michael at some point, all right, let's rent it. Same thing, save you money. But Hollywood has led to this with horrible production, throwing in politics, throwing in their own narrative, virtue signaling into everything they make, actors who can't keep their mouths shut, telling you about their politics, what they hate in life, and why you should be. And then they put out terrible stuff. And then you have to go pay an arm and a leg just to go see the theaters. Some of those popcorn buckets have gotten ridiculous. The specialized popcorn buckets, some people were dropping $50. Yeah, you can rewind. If I miss something, I can go back. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But I'm sure the Michael as a biopic is good. I mean, if it follows him up through the Bad album, it's just showing you his career. I'm glad it did well initially. I think it's going to make its money back or maybe make some money. That's good. I want to see it. I'm not clamoring to see it. We already know the story of Michael Jackson. If it's done well, I like to watch stuff like that. You know, might be some things you don't know. I don't think there's anything we really don't know. Oh yeah, they do. I saw somebody has a YouTube channel. They showed all their collection of the movie popcorn buckets. But at least the guy says, I don't just buy them. Like, I don't go out and just try to purchase, because these are movies I actually see. My qualification for it is I have to go to the first showing and get one before they sell out and so forth. So I thought that was cool. You know, people used to keep ticket stubs. Now they keep those big popcorn buckets. I'm not saying I would never buy one. Like, I did go see the Fantastic Four movie, and it's not a good movie. But they had the Galactus head popcorn bucket. And I thought, well, if that's there, that's pretty cool looking, because I'm a big Galactus fan over the years, being a Marvel Comics guy. But boy, we got in there and they were like, yeah, we sold out of those in like 10 minutes. I was like, wow. I said, by the way, how much were they? $50. $50. Yeah. Sold out of them at $50. We could see The Devil Wears Prada 2 together. Yeah, you and me showing up with 40 women. Can you imagine, seriously? You get to the weekend, you've worked hard. Hey, what are you doing tonight? I got my 2 tickets for The Devil Wears Prada 2. You know, that's not going to be the kind of, you know, impressionable thing you hope it is. I usually don't buy theater popcorn, but when I do, I bring along a cosigner. And the thing about it, where they get you to, is the theater popcorn is so good. Like, it's different than anything you can get at home. It's awesome. It's awesome. Get that butter, man. It's good. It's really, really good. No, David, I'm not watching the NBA playoffs. Thank you. Send us a message on the Professional Door Incorporated text line. I'm just not interested in it. I'm not interested in the league, and I'm certainly not interested in their playoffs. I'd like to see Javante's team. I'd like to see the Pistons keep doing well. I guess I'm kind of pulling for them just because of Javonte Green. But I'm really not. The league is not enticing to me any way, shape, or form anymore. The league has told me time and again that I am not someone that they care whether or not follows their games. Let's just put it that way. They've decided who they want their audience to be. I've been omitted by their selection, their natural selection. So, no, I just don't care. I don't care. And I hate that, because I've said this before and I'll say it again. I was a massive fan of the NBA, really, as a younger person, as much at the time as the NFL. When you're talking about pro sports, you're talking about early 80s, man, that was exciting. You don't feel like the guys, there's nothing at stake, David. Like, for instance, I don't think these guys have any kind of body language that tell me that they're playing this thing balls to the wall. This is do or die, and that it means anything other than the next paycheck. Guys just seem so cool. We lost. playoffs are supposed to feel urgent. There's got to be a sense of urgency to your playoffs, or if not, then what else is the point? But see, that's the problem, though, Wayne. It's become just a long shooting contest. I mean, I watch, this past Radford team, and they're standing out there shoot 28 footers, 25 footers, boom, 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 boom. I mean, as unguarded as they are in practice, that's kind of like these guys are basically unguarded. The game of basketball is not designed to be just a strict, hey, let's throw it up from 27 feet. Exactly, Prometheus. I don't want to watch 43s a game. It's not interesting to me. It's not. Everything goes in circles in sports. Like we were told, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was. We'll talk about this with David Smith on Thursday. Remember running backs? Remember running backs were supposedly no longer going to be in vogue and they would no longer get big contracts. Well, now that's come back full circle, and running backs are a big priority again in the offenses of teams. They're getting paid. They're getting drafted early. I mean, look what the Chiefs, the contract they gave to Kenneth Walker, because he had one good year, but wasn't really utilized in the playoffs. He had a big Super Bowl. I don't care anything Steve Kerr has to say, Matthew. He said he was done with the game, and now he's coming back for a 2-year contract. I mean, his whole career was made on the 3-point shooting. I saw that comment. He would not be anywhere near the successful coach that he was without Steph Curry bombing threes all over the place. So that guy's just an idiot. You talk about a guy who's he's just a complete moron in terms of people. You talk about lack of self-awareness, the isolation that he has provided only with like minds and so forth. I think Steve Kerr could be a sociopath. Yeah, the flopping is at an all-time high. LeBron James is the king of flopping. Some of the things that go around with him is just ridiculous. Yeah, I just don't like the way the game has evolved. So until it evolves back into a game that is interesting to me and entertains me, I don't have any interest. It's not worth my time to turn the TV on. I did turn it on the other night when the Pistons were on, and unfortunately, the time I watched, Javante wasn't on the floor. But yeah, I'll watch him play. But I'm just not interested in the league at all. It's tough to stay interested in baseball right now, knowing what's coming. The specialization of baseball. So Denny Van Pelt, the Radford Hall of Famer, joined me on our Saturday broadcast. It was a lot of fun having him up there because I'm usually solo on baseball all the time. And UNC Asheville, which, by the way, beat Radford 2 out of 3 this weekend, which was first time Radford has lost a conference home series. So they're going to have to do some work. Got to get at least one win this coming weekend down at Charleston Southern. And we were talking about the specialization of pitching, and it's something that I've tried to look into and read and research, and I still don't have any clarification as to why it's changed. Do you know, by the way, how many complete games Hall of Famer Bob Gibson, in my mind, one of the top 5 pitchers to ever throw, do you know how many complete games he had? 255. 255 complete games. And now if you see a major league starter go 6 innings, you're like, wow, he's going deep into the game. And then you have a specialty guy. Here comes the 6th inning guy. Here comes the 7th inning guy. Oh, we've got an 8th inning guy. You've always had a closer. And it did kind of evolve into, okay, here's our setup guy for the closer. Okay. But now you don't have a shot. You don't have a shot at a complete game unless you're at 80 pitches in the 7th inning. You might be pitching a 1-hit shutout. And I can't stand that. And I don't understand it. No one's been able to explain it to me. I've asked our trainer. I've asked other trainers. I've talked baseball coaches. Why are so many guys unable or not allowed to throw a lot of pitches anymore? Why are there so many arm injuries? We have more advanced training now, right? Specialty training for all sports. If you're into rowing, if you're a long distance runner, if you're a tennis player, if you're a golfer, things you can strengthen on your body. But yet, I don't know how many times I've had to call a game this year and I get an injury report. Oh, this pitcher's out. Because it was nice to see the Saturday starter for UNC Asheville, who was the defending pitcher of the week, he pitched a complete game the previous Saturday. Let me make sure I get his name right. Because I don't want to mess this up. I know I just called his game, but this is what happens when you get older. You lose your sense of recollection. But he was terrific. Cooper Smith. I thought it was something Smith. I want to make sure it was Cooper Smith. So Cooper Smith threw 133 pitches the week before in their game against Winthrop, who was leading the conference. Pitched a 5-hit shutout and was allowed to stay. They had a couple relievers up. He was battling. You know, he's a real pitcher. He's a redshirt senior. He's an experienced guy, so he's done after this year. And I love the way that the Asheville coach let him work through some things, and he didn't throw as many pitches. He came out after the 8th. He had thrown about 115 pitches. And I'm guessing when you looked at the back-to-back starts, maybe they felt like, well, they didn't want to. Like, I think he could have come out and thrown the 9th, and he'd have had a back-to-back complete games. But I thought this was old school, and I was talking to Denny about this. He made a great point. We are not going to see any records broken anymore with pitching in baseball. You're not going to have, wins, innings pitched, things like that, because of the specialty era of pitching has really been a detriment to the game, in my opinion. Yesterday, the Asheville starter, he has not had a good season. He's the Boson kid. He's struggled. Lucas Boson, he had a high ERA. He was getting shelled early. Radford scored 2 in the first. He loaded the bases in the second. All right. Loaded the bases in the second inning. And I'm on the air saying this. Well, he's not long for this game. Sure enough, they get up their bullpen. I'm thinking, wow, Radford's just going to clean up here. Well, a couple hitters later, after he loaded the bases on back-to-back walks, he had no location. Radford's third baseman, Jun Ho Sun, who swings a very, very hot bat, comes up and he lines just a rocket. I mean, he hit the ball as hard as anybody hit it all weekend. But the second baseman reached up, kind of dove, made a great stab, got up. The guy at first was getting ready to head to second, got a double play, and the runner at third had to go back to the bag because he was taking off. Nobody scored, and then the next hitter struck out. Well, Boson then went on because he worked through that, held Radford without a hit over the next 4.5 innings. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is what I like about baseball. And I know this was a kid pitching against Radford, but I'm just saying, to see guys fight through what's, especially on the hill, and adjust and be able to have success, that draws me to the game. And their coach, he's a first-year coach, Alex Rayburn. He stuck with the kid, and he got better and better and better. Ended up being the winning pitcher yesterday. He got him through 7 innings. You just don't see that anymore. There's no patience for that anymore. Too much around baseball. It's taken away a lot of the appeal for me as a baseball fan. And I don't understand, with all this advanced metrics, all the things, all the dreaded analytics, which we hear about in sports all the time. Everything's run by analytics. You know, instead of going out and training, practicing, executing, repetitiveness, and then going out in the game and then being coached, let's look at what the analytics say. I'm not saying that analytics can't be helpful, but we have gotten way too reliant on looking at numbers all the time instead of throwing in the human equation. And I think as a whole, all sports is being encompassed too much by these analytics. Well, let's get caught up with people in chat. Wayne says, I think because of curves, sources, whatever, weird pitches, they tweak their arm with straight heat. Well, nobody had more dazzling arrays of pitches than the guys we grew up with. Right? I mean, you had 4 or 5 pitchers that could go to any kind of speed, any kind of location, any kind of arm movement, and they were able to survive it. We talk about look at how these athletes are evolving. They're bigger, they're stronger. Well, they're not holding up in baseball. Prometheus says that's why Tech loses a bunch. They have great pitching, and the bullpen gives up 7 runs. Yeah. Team play is disappearing. Too many players are laser focused on career numbers and on making highlight reels. TP says, I threw an 11-inning complete game at Pulaski County High School, only 110 pitches. Got out of 1 inning in 3 pitches. Wow. That's pretty cool. Guys just wanted to swing. Babe Ruth faced pitching velocity similar to today's high school pitching. Truth is, conditioning and player development have improved pitchers as a whole, same hitters. Players today are better. Well, then shouldn't the pitchers be better? And shouldn't they be able to withstand this? I don't think pitchers are better today than – I agree with that too, Prometheus. I agree with you. I don't see pitchers today that are better than Greg Maddux or Randy Johnson or Roger Clemens. Who won the Cy Youngs last year? Skubal for Detroit. Who won the National League Cy Young? Was that Skeens? Did he win it? That's what pitching's about, working through problems. That's right. Exactly. And that's what's always intrigued me. If pitchers are bigger and stronger now, then they should be able – you would think that would make them even more susceptible to going longer in games, right? I don't – I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand why we have that. Are kids throwing too many pitches growing up through AAU ball and all that? I don't know. I don't know if pitchers throw harder today or not. Bob Gibson in 1968, his dominant season, one of the best seasons. I go back to Gibby all the time. He threw his fastball averaged in the 96 to 99, averaged. And sometimes he would throw 140, 150 pitches in the game, and then they'd go clock his fastball in the ninth inning, and he was throwing 98. College pitchers' velocity in the games I've called this year, because we have a TrackMan and we see it up on the scoreboard, very few guys stay around 90. On the Radford 2015 Big South team, our all-time best team, we had about 4 guys who were throwing 93, 94. Now, I know that's just 10 years ago, but I don't see that now. And I haven't seen that from many of our opponents. Sometimes guys can throw 1 or 2, 93, 92, 93. And there's always exceptions to the rule. I know that. And I know your major league prospects are going to be able to bring it more harder. But there's too much specialty. Especially if a guy's just throwing great. And he's in the 8th inning, he's thrown 92 pitches, and he wants to stay out there. Why not let him get a complete game? Why do you immediately have to go? It's because a lot of people look at it as because they're paying so much for these specialty pitchers that they feel like they have to get their return on their investment. Well, then just don't be stupid and just don't pay specialty pitchers so much money. But it was refreshing to see Asheville stay with 2 guys, let them work through their issues, and then they got it going. It sat the bullpen down, and you could see the energy it created on the team. You could just see it. Too much emphasis on velocity now. All these kids want to do is throw harder and don't concentrate on pitching. I've heard that from college coaches where kids are coming up saying the harder I throw, better chance I have to get noticed, to get either drafted or to go to get a scholarship. So maybe kids are starting to try to throw too hard when they're younger. And you have coaches that encourage that who aren't worried about protecting a kid's arm. I don't know. But let me ask you this. Is velocity always the most important thing? Or is it being a pitcher? Coach Rayburn called the Cooper Smith kid, he's a pitcher. He has a game plan. He pitches inside out. He knows where he needs his targets set up. Today, too, we have this specialized thing. It's every team we've seen in college baseball. You've got to have the wristbands, or you got to have the thing, the audio coming through, kind of like the advancements we've seen in the NFL. Advancements. I saw more wristband miscommunication this year than I've ever seen, this technology. Guys, it's almost like they can't pitch unless they get, hang on. Remember the old days? You look in, catcher look into the dugout, get the sign, flash it to the pitcher, and the pitcher would nod and go. The attorney, Ryan Pry, I think it's all about velocity now. Yeah, Greg Maddux had no velocity whatsoever. None. Arguably the greatest pitcher of the last 40 years. Hall of Famer. I know he might be an anomaly, but he knew what he was doing. Great athlete. I don't know how many times he won the Gold Glove. He's a hockey player. I don't know. It's an interesting debate. All these specialty guys. Guys can be mowing them down. Take them out. Take them out. It's supposed to be winning the game. And you can go about trying to protect somebody's arm, and I understand that. Well, Thunder, you know what I'm saying. Low 90s at best on his fastball. That's not velocity at the major league level like we're talking about. I mean, low 90s is what I see sometimes in college baseball. All right. When you look at his peers at the time and what they were throwing, Maddox didn't come near that because he didn't need to, because he knew what the hell he was doing. But it has taken away from the game, at least for me. And some people may not care. You may watch it and you just understand that's the way the game's going. But with so much money too, and these starting pitchers, and look at the contracts some of these guys are signing. I know you want to keep them healthy, but you can work hard on protecting arms, and everybody who follows baseball knows. All it takes is one pitch. No matter how much rest you've had, no matter how much you've done to try to protect your arm, it's happened. Unfortunately, I've seen it happen way too much in college baseball. And you see major leaguers and you see guys immediately, they throw a pitch and they know immediately what's happened. All right. Their UCL has completely exploded, whatever it might be. It's an unnatural thing. Whenever you slow down, whenever they show some of these major league guys in particular, and you watch their arm movement and you watch the hand, it's an unnatural body action. And at some point, all those nerves and tendons are going to, unfortunately, it happens too much, are going to decide, nope, we're not doing that today. We're just not doing that today. We saw a kid, I can't even remember, the team came in early in the year, and he was pitching well. I guess he pitched about 3 innings. He allowed like a couple of hits, had no runs, and he had like 6 strikeouts. The first pitch he threw in the 4th inning, he threw it, and he kind of dipped down, and he slams his glove down. And here comes the trainer. He leaves, obviously. Ballpark got quiet. Well, he found out later he had to have complete reconstructive surgery, and he may never pitch again. And we've seen so many of that. Just Radford kids have had so many guys over the last, 10, 15 years that have had to have Tommy John. 255 complete games in an age where there wasn't all this training. There wasn't all this specialty development. Guys were just coached and developed the old-fashioned way, and they came up, and that's what they did. All I'm saying is what we're seeing is happening defies what's supposed to be all these advancements. Like Thunder's talking about how strong everybody is and everybody throws harder. Okay. Well, has that resulted into better baseball today? Like when you watch baseball today, are you as impressed with it as you were 10 years ago? The game in itself? But I don't think it's changing anytime soon, because now it becomes liability, right? That's the thing. Like now I think there's more coaches, especially college coaches or high school. Now you don't want to be the coach that developed the arm trouble of somebody. But it's so unpredictable. And I don't think you can't go about it like that. Injuries happen. We talk about it all the time. Injuries suck. UNC Asheville. I keep going back to the weekend because all this stuff is pertinent. One of the best players in the league, Blaze Johnson, who still should be a first-team all-conference member. He was in the top 5 in 6 different offensive categories, home runs, RBIs, hits, just a great hitter, just a sophomore. Second inning of the Friday night game, he's trying to make it to third on a ground ball, trying to outrun the third baseman. Our third baseman, Jun Ho-sun, made a great play, backhands behind the bag toward the line, and he's hustling to touch the bag. Well, Johnson is flying through there, and he hits the bag and shatters his hand. He's out for the rest of the year. And it sucks because I wanted to watch this kid play. And, of course, the only at bat that he had in the series, he had a base hit. And I just sit there thinking, man, sports, it's just so true. Injuries, look at the great careers. Bo Jackson, look at all the guys. Terrell Davis, later in his career. Injuries are so unpredictable no matter what you do. And I know this is something we all know, but I just hate to see it. I hate to see whether it's arm problems. Guys get hurt. They come down. They tear their ACL. But it seems to be now in this day of specialized training, we're seeing more and more and more surgeries and more season-ending injuries than we ever have. And if you have all these advancements and everybody's supposed to be better and wiser, why is this happening? It's really an epidemic. I agree completely, Wayne, with football. We can talk to Coach Elmo about it. You know what? We'll talk to Todd Grantham about all this. Todd Grantham is going to be all over this. He's coming up. We're going to have Tim Miller at 7:40 from Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. People asking where Coach Elmo is. He has no computer today. He did come up and see me yesterday in the press box at the game. I went from not having physically met Coach Elmo. Now I've hung out with him twice in the last week. That's a good week. From a football perspective, and you hear NFL coaches say it all the time, well, we can't practice football anymore. College coaches too. Can't do two-a-days anymore. NFL has very limited things they can do in terms of contact. Tackle football, put the pads on, get bodies acclimated to playing the game, and you're seeing more injuries in the NFL than we've ever had before. I know guys are bigger and stronger, but are they ready to play football going through what we see in the preseason, both collegiately and in the NFL, with all the rules that are in place? I don't know. It seems very counterproductive, doesn't it? Especially when you spend a lot of money and guys are unable to play. And I'm not saying in preseason and so forth, you need to risk all your starters and have them going out there and taking all these hits and blah, blah, blah. But they have taken it. They've gone too far the other way. Maybe it was over the top, the old school way. When we were playing and we knew we were going to have two-a-days and we knew we were going to have hamburger drills and we knew we had to go through bull in the ring and all these things, you just got the living hell beat out of you. But by God, when we walked down the steps at Kenneth J. Dobson Stadium to play for Joel Hicks, we were ready to go. Players, particularly pitchers as a whole, have developed to their upper limits of performance now where they're naturally more susceptible to injuries. Well, I mean, if they've developed to that point, I don't know why they would. It seems like they would know more about what they're doing to maybe try to help prevent injuries. I don't know. Ryan Price says that's true, but the seasons are endless now. College football used to be 10 games, like a bowl game. Now it's 12. Well, it was 11 for decades. Yeah. maybe 3 or 4 playoff games. Well, it's an NFL schedule. It's an NFL schedule. And the NFL added one more game, right? Which is already a big controversy. But if the NFL was really worried about their players, they would not make them play on Sundays and then have to play on Thursdays. TP. By the way, TP, so glad you're doing okay, brother. Been thinking about you a lot. Glad you got out of the hospital. Glad the surgery went okay, man. Last year, PC had one guy on the team that benched 300. We had 10 or 12 guys benching 300 every year. That's a great point. I hear that a lot from the high school coaches around our area. Nobody is lifting. Not to the point. It wasn't a choice. I keep going to go back to Joel Hicks, but what the hell? That was my experience. You can go back to your own experience. You didn't have a choice. If you didn't go in and kill it every day in the weight room, you had no chance to be in that football program. None. What you did in the summer directly parlayed into whether or not you were going to even be on the football team. Are guys doing that now? Are the lifting techniques, have they changed to the point now where you're worried so much about the specialty part? I don't know. But the NBA, it's not even an injury thing. They just feel like they need the time off, load management. Obviously, they want to get paid for doing nothing, but they say it helps maintain their bodies. Now, the NBA is not playing any more games. They're playing the same amount of games that Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and Kareem and you go back, whomever played. The seasons haven't extended. Hockey players, I don't hear about this as much. Now maybe we don't follow hockey as closely as we used to, but you don't hear about these injuries go out through hockey as much. Because the way they practice is exactly the way the game is played. Are we having too many sports, going back to Wayne's point, are we having too many sports practicing to where it doesn't resemble what the game expects of your body? Football being the example, I think, that stands out the most. Are young pitchers not being developed to where once they get into upper level that they can handle all these things? I think a lot of this is because of the fear we've had. We've had young men and women die in sports, right? We had a young man die in the Pulaski County football program on the field in a game. And TP, you know this as well as anybody. Coach Hicks never recovered from that. None of us really did. A freak contact play in a certain part. I'm not going to get into the details, and it cost a young man his life. We see stories almost every, once you get into the August practices around the country, some kid, it's hot and so forth, he collapses and they pass away. I mean, it's horrible. It's the worst thing you can ever hear. But people are always, and I wonder how much of it is this, that people are always so worried about who do you blame? There's got to be somebody to blame, right? And I'm not saying all these older coaching techniques were smart. Salt pills were stupid, right? Punishing kids by taking water breaks away never made any sense. That was just cruelty. That was dumb. And that is not having your athletes' best body's interests and their health more than anything at heart. Running more sprints than your body can handle, right? Kids hurt, gets banged up in a drill. You make them get back out and go back into the same drill, right? I'm not talking about that. because that is irresponsibility. But now, whomever it might be, there's always, whether the family themselves, the media, I don't know, lawyers, there's always got to be somebody to blame. And I wonder how much of that plays into all this, to where, look, we make sure, instead of worrying about trying to develop these young people in their best interest, let's make sure we develop them to where we are not the ones liable if something happens. How much of it is that? Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. We want to thank the NRB Super Bowl for sponsoring this program. That's why I love doing this program. We can have discussions like this, nice, intelligent discussions, great comments, text line on the Professional Door Incorporated chat room. 540-382-5525. Reserve your lanes today. Sundown Electric, excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients, attest to superior craftsmanship, attention to detail, clear communication, honesty, and integrity. That's what they run their business on. ReadySetFund.com is Bob Christ. He's the brother of Dave Christ, the Hall of Famer. BOBCRST11 at Gmail. Find out how your organization, your team can raise money instantly. Professional Door Incorporated, Travis Williams. Residential commercial garage doors, family owned operated, 38 years, sponsor of our text line, which is popping this morning with a lot of opinions about all this. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST here on YouTube, my exclusive banking partner. The attorney Ryan Pry, he brings you the fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford, trust and estate planning. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thanks to Tim Miller and the crew, Jonathan Sweet. Tim's going to join us here in about 15 minutes. Our first guest today. McClellan Chiropractic, Mark Hunley, right off of 155 Walters Drive. Go see him in Christiansburg if you're local. And Family Fencing. Get a quote today. 540-200-8294, sponsor of our studio. Thanks to Lawson's Mobile Home Supply as well. Since 1997, 540-381-8011. Wayne says we need to have more pregame meals at Panera to get those gums bleeding and toughen these kids up. See, it all comes back around. See, it does. See, no matter what we discuss, it all comes back around. Started with just a casual mention of Panera. Subscribe, like, and share the channel, by the way. I'm just saying that injuries are always going to happen. They always have happened. It's nothing new. I mean, always. This isn't like saying that back in the olden days, guys never got hurt. That's not what I'm saying. But in today's specialization, no matter what it is, there seems to be a lot more of it. A lot more of it. How much of it is the playing surface itself? How much is it playing on these plastic surfaces in football is leading to these injuries? Why can one professional entity like, European international soccer understand that it's better to play their games on grass, to the point to where when they play exhibitions in the States, we're going to ship an entire field into a stadium that has plastic on it because our guys aren't allowed to play unless you put them on grass. That's what we're told. Yet in the NFL, where player safety is supposed to be paramount, we're going to add 17. We want 18 games to Ryan Pry's point. Let's just add 2 more games. And, oh, by the way, we're still going to go from Sunday to Thursday. So there's no way your body can recover adequately playing the NFL. But we care about player injuries. And by the way, we're going to go to the trouble to ship the grass in for soccer on our plastic field. But as soon as they're done, all that just hideous natural green grass is going to be gone, and we're going to go back to the rock hard plastic surface. Because our players' health really is valuable to us here in the National Football League. Yeah, people don't want to play through injuries. Ow. No. Ronnie Lott had a pinky cut off, so he would not be taken out of a playoff game. $1986. He had the tip of his left pinky finger, I wanted to get it right, amputated. He crushed it while tackling running back Timmy Newsome during the final game of the 85 season. Rather than undergo surgery, and he would have missed way too much time, Lott said, you know what, just cut the damn thing off. I don't need it anyway. A complete bone graft was proposed with a long recovery or amputation. Lott returned after that decision to play and lead the NFL with a career high 10 interceptions the following year. So I'm just saying, I know that's a very rare example, but wow. I think the food in terms of kids' health, 100%. I think you're onto something there, Prometheus. All these preservatives, all these things, they can be good for us, right? Not just kids, but all of us. Jack Youngblood, yeah, he played a playoff game with a broken leg against the Cowboys. Knew it was broken. Now look at the concussion protocols. Look, we need them. I have no idea how many concussions I may have had. We did not look at that. I'm not saying it was intentionally ignored previously, but it wasn't something that was necessarily tied into future brain injuries that were going to linger, which is a real thing, especially from NFL players and so forth. I get it. But now when you go through concussion protocol, you're going to have to miss a certain amount of games as determined. Now, they do confer with medical experts and so forth. But you miss a lot of time when you're diagnosed with something now, a lot more time than you used to. I was just reading about Broncos quarterback Bo Nix, right? He had the reason he missed the AFC Championship game and cost the Broncos a Super Bowl berth. His ankle was broken and screwed up, and they had to go through do this complex surgery, and he had to go get cleanup procedure. And Sean Payton addressed the media saying they're going to be very cautious with him throughout the summer. And he shows a video of him. He posted a video of him running full sprints and ready to go, cutting on that ankle. But the league and the NFL, or at least the organization, is going to – he's going to have to wait a while. Yeah, we didn't even call it a concussion. We just called it a stinger, yeah, because you'd get that tingling sensation from the back of your head to your neck down to your shoulders. And I remember you'd sit there like this. Especially when I'd go head-to-head with a guy like Todd Grantham in hamburger grills. And you know how it was. You'd sit there like this, whether you're sitting on the ground or you're on the bench, and you just wait for it to work itself through. And then when you felt like it worked itself through, you shook it out in your fingers, you'd be like, all right, I'm good. Let's go. All right. Rick, your concussions aren't a good thing. It affects your ability to like black jerseys. Yes, Well, black jerseys just for the sake of being black jerseys. You know, like, I don't know, Virginia Tech. If you're a school and, you know, black is your color, one of your colors, it's completely different. We used to break our defensive practices with tear and snot bubbles. It was a different time. Or you just got your bell rung. Yeah. Oh, he just got his bell rung. He'll go over and take a play or two off. He'll be okay. Yeah. You hear broadcasters, well, he just got to shake out the cobwebs. Probably had massive trauma concussions. Let's just go back out and play. Now that was all wrong. This isn't a hankering to go back to that era because that was all wrong. Every bit of that was all wrong. You know what I'm going to do? I might schedule to get somebody like Chad Hyatt on here. You know, get Chad Hyatt on here from Radford. Get him to talk about all these things. It might be very, very interesting for me too to learn, because I would like to know. More about it and why it's the way that it is. Yeah, somebody else told me that Tech wore orange and white with no maroon. Is that right? I think Big Al, if you're still here, isn't that what you told me too? Yeah, I still haven't seen Varsity Blues. The White Vic yells at me all the time. What? Watch the reaction on Thursday. Hey, Dwight, just a reminder, I haven't seen Varsity Blues. It did. That was the other side of it. It did instill toughness working through things. So they wore. Why does Tech hate their school colors so much? That's the only thing that I can think of at this point. Why would you not wear your full? Why would you leave the maroon out and wear just orange? Now, see, Wayne, you got me all involved with the uniforms again. Wasn't even on the docket today. This is all your fault. No, they wear black, Tebow. Chicago maroon is the Virginia Tech football jersey and helmet. Yeah. Tim Miller going to join us here coming up. Yeah, burnt orange and Chicago maroon. Correct. I mean, that's why it's Chicago maroon. That's Tech's colors. I'm trying to get a good picture of it here. No, Tebow, that's dead black, my friend. That's black, and that's a gray VT they have right there. There's nothing maroon about that in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, let's see here if we can find one that has all their colors. Yeah, that one's kind of got it a little bit. It's black with white and orange. No, it's black. That's not dark maroon. Maroon is what they wear during football games and basketball games when they're wearing that's Chicago maroon. Chicago maroon is not black. But any event. Good discussion, though. Thank you, man. That's great. So many people got involved. This is awesome. This is why you come here to the program. Thank you so much, everybody in the on the text line too. I didn't read all those. You still send them in. I will read them throughout the day. We never ever ignore your input to the show. Joining us now on the program is this gentleman. We never ignore his input to the show. He is the Director of Sports Tourism and Entertainment for Pulaski County, Tim Miller. Tim, how are you? Good morning.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right, man. Hey, have you been busy recently? What's going on?
Hadn't even started yet.
Well, how'd it go this past weekend? Beautiful weather for racing in Pulaski.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I had to come to Richmond this weekend. It was a little thing called Mother's Day, and
of course.
So I was actually not there Saturday night. I was there Friday afternoon helping with all the prep and everything. But I mean, Stacy Compton is really running the show there, so I have full faith in him and everybody around him. So I optioned out, shall we say?
No, well, when we had Stacy on, I'll tell you, talk about the passion too. You guys, you found the right guy. I mean, he is so into this thing, man. It's in such good hands, isn't it, with him? Really.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he's a great figurehead. He's a great leader. He's got the respect of people throughout motorsports, from officials to executives to drivers and teams. So yeah, no, I would agree. He's been kind of a breath of fresh air and is really leading the venue in the right direction.
Well, and there's just so much going on. I don't know which press release we need to talk about first. First of all, what has gotten a lot of interest here when we talk about it is the river event, what you're going to be doing, and both of them. People are excited about this, the BMX coming here. Can you talk about each of those things? I know we're in the week of now, right? It's happening now this week.
Yeah, this weekend. And you're right. It's funny. It was last Friday. So the Kayak Adventure Series fishing tournament, it's a unique fishing event where everybody's got to fish from a kayak. And it's a catch and release tournament. And so they're, the fish are going back in the water. But I started seeing cars pulling kayaks with all their fishing gear about a week ago. And this tournament, they open up, the practice period starts a couple of weeks before the tournament. And when I started seeing kayaks around town, I was like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The tournament itself starts on Friday, but the things really start to happen. So Wednesday night, there's a welcome dinner at the Mason Jar. Thursday night is the official opening ceremonies, which is going to be at the new Great Wilderness Brewing Company that's making a lot of noise in downtown Pulaski. Friday morning, there's a brunch in what they call Bass University. They're going to do some demos and stuff out at Claytor Lake at Claytor Lake State Park at Shelter One. And then the tournament itself starts on Friday afternoon, and they'll fish through, not continuously. They'll fish Friday until pretty late, and then they start early Saturday morning, and they will fish until Saturday afternoon. And then there's a award ceremony, and then there's an after party at Great Wilderness. So as much as these people like to fish, they like to have a good time too.
Sure. Well, I love it. And it's such a big part of this community. Fishing, so many people head to the river, to the lake, whatever it might be. It just ties in so perfectly, doesn't it, with the atmosphere and the personality of this community.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. I mean, we're obviously doing things kind of across the spectrum of sports and entertainment. But, and you mentioned the cycling event. So we announced a gravel cycling event
that's
a few
cool.
weeks ago. Yeah, and for people that don't know, gravel is it's kind of a combination between road cycling and mountain biking. And I have a long history of I'm a former bike racer myself and organizer of cycling events. And when I first came to Pulaski, I really didn't have everybody that I knew was like, oh, you're going to go to Pulaski and do another bike race. And I was like, no, that's not really what I'm focused on. But the more I talked to people and kind of understood, the community in Pulaski, it made a lot of sense because, Pulaski has such incredible outdoor recreation resources, whether it's the lake or the river or all the hiking trails. And then I discovered like we had all these amazing fire roads and, the cycling and everything. And it just started to make a lot of sense. And I actually said to Jonathan Sweet not long ago when we were announcing this thing, I said, I think this gravel event has the potential to be one of the most impactful things we do, because it is truly going to be a national, if not international event, and really share what Pulaski has and is all over the country and all over the world. I mean, we've already got several of the top gravel cyclists, professionals, signed up to do this thing. And so it's awesome. Going to draw a lot of attention, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Tim Miller joining us on the program, the director of sports tourism, entertainment. This and that to me, and Jonathan was on here last week, a couple weeks ago, talking about that. The international interest, sponsors, I know, grasping onto Pulaski County and what you guys are doing. Talk about how that has developed, because I think that is very interesting. May not be thinking about sponsorship coming from abroad, but sure enough, it's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's, and again, because of the kind of the variety of things we're doing, from cycling and motorsports and fishing to all the stuff that's coming in the sportsplex, we've kind of got something for everybody. And I like to say, Pulaski County sort of punches above its weight. It's like, we're doing these things and people are like, wait a minute, how are you guys doing this? And it's sort of like, well, we just decided we were going to do it. And it's not necessarily that we're spending gobs and gobs of money. It's just that we're doing it efficiently and effectively. And we've got the, expertise to know how to do a lot of these things. And it's, a big part of it is kind of the media and PR side of things. And it starts to kind of elevate the status and get people to understand what the opportunities are, and people are starting to recognize it. And if you start to demonstrate that these things are working, then people want to be part of it.
It's about mindset, isn't it? It's about thinking out of the box, thinking. And I think you said this the first time you're on. It's about, instead of asking why not?
Yeah.
Right? It sounds simple, but it's so true. Why have limitations in thinking about whether these things can be pulled off as well as you guys have done so far, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's, and it's not without its challenges. And I mean, the bike race is a perfect example. Like, I mean, it's going to, it's going to impact, road closures, for example. There will be some road closures around that. And we're going to have community conversations and be like, look, it'll be a little bit difficult. We're going to work with you as best we can, but for a few hours on a Saturday in September, it's going to cause some inconveniences, but here's why this is important, and here's the bigger picture of what this can do for the region. But yeah, it is sort of that why not. And I mean, that's kind of the way I've always looked at things in my career, even when I've done things that, like when in 2015, we hosted the World Cycling Championships in Richmond. And when I first started pursuing that, people thought I was crazy. And I was like, well, why? Why is this crazy? And it's the same thing here. Like all the stuff with the sportsplex, even the motorsports park. Like people were like, oh, yeah, you'll never get that back open again. It's like, really? Why not?
Why? 100%. 100. Have you run into that like a lot? You get that kind of mindset that's already kind of instilled. Either we haven't done this before, why would it work here? Or like you're just saying, everybody looked at the Speedway was a failure, it didn't work, right? How much have you have? This is something, I guess you go into it knowing, Tim, it's part of the job, right? It's part of your gig.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that just they question everything, they doubt it, and I mean I don't have any problem with people questioning things. In fact, I kind of like it because it motivates me to prove them wrong.
That's right. Well, the other thing people continue to talk about is the Sportsplex, which, as Jonathan reminded us, is still on time, on budget for August coming up, and all the different things there. What has pleased you with the most about how this thing has just developed, seemingly at a record pace? It's been terrific. Hard to think about. It really has been a relatively short amount of time since you guys had this idea, and then all of a sudden here we are, just now, a few months away.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is the reaction I've seen from the industry. I've already got several basketball tournaments, volleyball tournaments that are lining up and hopefully going to get confirmed here shortly. It's the other thing that's been really interesting is, from the beginning, the idea was that this was going to be sort of a dual purpose facility, meaning it was going to be both for the community and for kind of that travel tournament venue opportunity. And that is that is something that has really taken hold throughout the country. And I'm not saying we created that environment, sure, but it's something that we recognized early on that now everybody else is also recognizing. And so it's sort of reassuring that, we were thinking about this the right way. And so, it's going to be exciting to see how this is going to be a world-class facility and to see how the community responds to that. And again, like I said earlier, it's not going to be without its challenges, because there are going to be weekends when we have a big tournament in the Sportsplex that's going to impact. I mean, people are always going to have the community is always going to have access to the building, but it might be a little limited on certain weekends, and we're going to have to share. But I mean, seeing the community's reaction to it and the industry's reaction to it, when I tell people in the industry across the country, like, yeah, we're going to have a 15,000 foot indoor playground right in the middle of this thing, people are like, whoa. And then you're like, yeah, we're also going to have a golf institute, by the way, and there's going to be a full service restaurant. And people are like, holy cow.
Are you building a town? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, right. And so, and we did, I think it was last week. It was either last week or maybe it was the week before. We signed the agreement with our restaurant operator. So they're getting things going in terms of designing and building out the restaurant space, which has been a long time coming and is a very exciting check mark, shall we say. Every time I go in there, like I went in there recently, and some of the glass walls are up around the fitness center and the weight room and the VIP room, and it's starting to take shape, and so it's exciting.
Well, it is exciting. And going back to your point, the fact that it is going to be so community accessible is so vital, because that gives the people that you're serving directly ownership in this. This is ours too, right? This isn't just something that people from outside the area are going to come utilize, and we're kind of looked at as, oh, we can't go in there. No, this is our place. And we're helping welcome all these other events and people to come in here and take part in our venue. I love that. I love that part of it.
Yeah. And it's, Jonathan says all the time, like we talk about wanting to have nice things, and, but that sort of multi-purpose building approach is what allows us to have an amazing facility like this, because the travel tournaments and the people from outside of the community are what are going to help pay for it and allow for the community. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be free to the community, but it's going to be very affordable because we're doing these other things to help pay for it.
Well, it just seems to all be something, I guess we just talked about it, people saying, why not? But when I tell people ask me, so what is that place going to be? And I said, well, it's going to be, what is it, 165 square feet, something like that. And they're just like, how
165,000
square feet. Right. And I'm like, people are like, how have they done this? And I just tell them the same thing you tell me, Tim, that they did it because they had a plan. And they got to an area that they love to be in. I said, Tim, I talk about you specifically. You came here from a different place because you saw the possibilities of it. And you're just going out and executing the things with the community. And Jonathan was talking about how the funds came together. I mean, all these things. And I said, it's refreshing to hear, especially for somebody like me that works in college athletics right now. And all we're told is you can't, right? There's no money. Yeah. You can't. Yeah. What are we going to? So it's nice to hear that this thing doesn't get any you can'ts from anybody. It's just going.
Well, and it was they also took over, and this was before I got here as it relates to the Sportsplex, but they also were very smart about how, because originally the county was looking at building a brand new building from the ground up, and which is a $60 to $70 million proposition. And I think the brilliant part about this is that they found this building, and what was a $60 or $70 million proposition turned into a $10 to $12 million proposition, which just obviously makes the economics of this whole proposition a lot more viable, and it gives us, when we go from building to operating, it gives us a lot more room to grow and more time to grow into it the right way.
So, Tim, people on the text on asking, so what's coming next now? What else you guys got planned here in the near future? I know the opening coming in August of the Sportsplex, but folks are excited. This is what I love. We're creating conversation. People are looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything from the River Turtles season starts on June 4th. We've got racing and other things at the Motorsports Park all summer. The next, what we call the weekly series, although technically they're not really every week, but the next weekly series event or local event is May 30th. We're going to have a couple of more of the IHRA touring series events this summer, one in July 25th, I think it is. And then there's potentially going to be another one as well. But we've also got some non-racing stuff. There is originally we didn't think so, but there is going to be a monster truck show at the Motorsports Park. I think Stacy he either just signed it or is working on signing that. I probably shouldn't say this because I don't know that the ink is dried on that yet. But
breaking news, they're on the program.
But then we got the Tour of Destruction event in September. Working on some live entertainment stuff at the Motorsports Park, and then also working on, because this is the number one question we get, working on the drag strip. We're hoping to be able to start some drag racing this summer. And then there's the annual AJSA jet ski race out at Claytor Lake State Park, which is the first weekend in August. And, more stuff coming.
It's unreal, man. Do you ever sleep? Those are the questions again. How much? I always ask Jonathan, do you ever get any sleep?
Occasionally.
Well, it's all very exciting, Tim, and I don't know. All I can say is congratulations. It's fun to watch the progress. I know what you have to go up against. There's so many things you guys have to consider when you're trying to create these things, from a governmental standpoint. But what you're doing has been so and not only accepted throughout Pulaski County, but I hear these surrounding places are very equally excited. And I think you're providing an education. We go back to the why and why not. Maybe some of these other counties and communities around are going, well, why can't we take the same mindset and maybe we can create our own version of things, right? Or we can take advantage of what Pulaski County is doing. And we talked about this before the last time you were on. I like the fact that we have regional involvement too, that's latched on to everything you're doing there at Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, when you look at the landscape across the country when it comes to sports tourism. I mean, every day, communities are getting into this space, communities that have never done anything before, and some of them in a big way, some of them in a more modest way, but everybody's recognizing that this is an incredible and not just tourism, but it's incredible tourism tool, economic development tool, and marketing tool.
Sure.
And people that haven't started dabbling in it yet are, starting to realize that they better, or they're going to get left behind. But it does create a very competitive landscape when you're trying to attract stuff to your community.
Well, it's great, man. It's great. And I know all the accolades Jonathan was throwing your way. It's pretty clear, man, that I don't think that this thing would have progressed as far as it has without you there at the center of it. You've done a terrific job since you got here, man. And that's true. And I think everybody recognizes that. So that's great.
I appreciate that. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's not without its challenges, but I enjoy. I get to wake up every day and do what I really want to do, which not everybody can say.
Sure.
Even with the challenges, it's still it's gratifying for sure.
Well, it really is. Well, listen, man, congratulations again. Thanks for taking time this morning. We'll have you on again with further updates here, especially as we get closer to the Sportsplex. And thanks again for being the title sponsor this year. It allows me to do what I want to do here doing this program. So we appreciate your support for Pulaski.
Well, one more thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
The fishing thing this weekend. So it is open to local anglers. So
hey, there you go. Okay.
Anybody that wants to participate can. So kayakadventureseries.com. There are categories for individuals, for two-person teams. There is a youth category. There's even I don't fully understand, but there is a women's category, or maybe it's just recognizing the top female angler, but it's cool. Open to anybody. So anybody that wants to, there's still time to register and take part. So check it out.
No, I'm going to send Coach Elmo your way. He's our fisherman. I'll bring that to him when he's on the show tomorrow. Okay, very cool, very cool.
Sounds good.
All right, Tim. Have a great week, man. Thank you for everything you're doing, brother.
Oh, thank you. Talk to you soon.
Take care, man. There you go, man. Yes, sir. Tim Miller. How good is that guy, by the way? How good is Tim Miller? Jeez, that's impressive, man. Todd Grantham will join us coming up here. I want to follow up with Todd, too, about some of these injuries. So there you go. Local anglers. We'll keep pushing that. This isn't just people from elsewhere. You can come and I should have asked that, T-Bird. We're gonna get a Bigfoot thing going with them. Yeah. Good thought. Joining us now on the program, there you go, defensive coordinator of the UAB Blazers, Todd Grantham. Speaking of fishing,
yeah, man, here's
another. Yeah, I was gonna say
we're gonna have a year, man. That's awesome.
You should come in next weekend. They're going to have a anglers tournament. Yeah, I can see you being part.
Yeah.
You and Coach Elmo could share a boat.
Yeah, that would be a sight. Elmo would never stop talking. He'd be scaring the fish away.
Very true. Very true. Well, how you doing, man? What's your week looking like now?
Man, it's like Groundhog Day, man. It's back at it again. I mean, it's still the recruit. It's just like last week. It's continue the recruiting process. We got a few official visits lined up last week for June. We'll continue that. Still working on opponents for next year, looking at our self-scout, things that I liked we did, things we can add to. So just going through our roster, those kind of things with the guys we got and how you package guys in case, a guy gets injured, what's our next answer, those kind of things. So doing all that, but it's still evaluating guys, for next recruiting class. It'll be a small class, but you still got to take a few guys, even though, we're not at the full 105 number. And the reason we weren't at that is that way we can put more money into the top of the line guys, per se. So you got to have a walk-on program. So actually we have there's a tryout today to see if we can, grab a few guys that can be walk-ons to help you. You never know, but, really help you with your service and scout teams and things like that as you get through the season.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and your experience, if you had decent success over all your stops, finding some walk-on guys like that because you do have those specialty events to kind of show.
Here's what, the thing about those guys is they love the school they're at.
Exactly.
Like they love the school they're at. And I always tell guys is when they took that number down to, 105 like it is now, as opposed to it could be a higher number. I said, all you guys did was you took away the guys that are going to go out and own big corporations and they're going to come back and donate to a position room or something because they were a part of it. You know what I mean? They just want to be a part. I had a guy when I was at the University of Georgia that never played. I think I got him in on one game, one of the first games of the year when you could have, there was no limitations on the guys that could be on the sidelines, because once you got into conference play, it was a limit. And that kid's a successful business guy. He wrote a book, and I mean, I get a text from him, like twice a year, and everything, and it's just awesome. So those guys are the guys that like really like love their the school they're at, and it's important to them, and there's some kind of history to why they're there. So I think it's a good thing, and it helps us too. So it's all good.
All right. So one question, I had a couple different listeners want me to ask you. And I'm not saying talk about necessarily from what you guys are doing, but what is your best guess when you look at some of these Power 4 top recruiting classes? What was your kind of guess as the money that's being spent to the high school? People don't think about it as much, but these kids aren't coming in here without getting paid either. What's your best range is the question these folks want to know about what universities like Tech, like Michigan, somebody like that would be paying high school classes?
I would say the minimum's 100, and you can go north of there. And it's like anything, when more than one person gets involved, that number can get outrageous. You know what I'm saying? But I would say the minimum's 100.
Minimum.
And that's the minimum. And I would say if you really like the guy, it's probably 2. And then from there, once you get into guys that are quote 5-star, guys you think that are really good, that number is going to be just what it is for the free agents.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it was pretty high. That's pretty significant. And then all of a sudden you look around, our budget for portal guys may have gotten eaten up by our freshman guy.
You think about 100, let's just say you have, 105 guys, and let's say the minimum of your 80 through 105 is 100, let's say minimum. I mean, just add that number up. That does, and it's not going to go down from there as you move up the ladder of the guys on your roster. So
correct.
And that's the issue with, it's not sustainable what's happening, but I'll let other people figure that out eventually.
Yeah, maybe they'll figure that out at some point.
Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to get in with you too, because we've had this great discussion today about injuries, and you've coached a long time.
Yep.
And it seems like it's more prominent now, just as football, whatever it might be. Talking about specialty in baseball, Corbin was a baseball player. You had to deal with it. What do you think has happened with it seems like we have more and more and more guys are stronger, more training, more exercises. Why are we seeing so many more injuries, especially in football, as opposed to years back?
I think one, let's just take how you practice, right? Nowadays, you basically can only have a 1 a day. Used to be, when I first started, we had 3 a days, which was really a waste. By the time when I went with Coach Dooley, we had 3 a days. I think we had 3 a days, which honestly was a waste of time. But because the time you got showered and changed, you had to go back again. I'd just soon stayed out there and got it done. But you had 2 a days, right? And then that went away. And I'll be honest, I really don't think you need the 2 a day the way we're structured now, because what happens is you have a good work for your one practice, and then generally speaking, you're going to have a review that afternoon of that practice as well as an install, and then you're going to have to do a walkthrough. Okay, and I think that you've learned, it's like anything, you kind of adjust, right? So you've kind of learned, okay, these are the rules. So what can I do that will allow me to get something done with the players? So we have walkthroughs every night. And and it's separated, like we will go against the offense, because Coach Mortensen believes in that as well. And then we'll have separate walkthroughs pertinent to maybe say a team we're going to play that's a little different, or hey, we want to work stacks and bunches or something like that. So I do think you get really good work, even though you don't have quote the 2 a day. Okay. I think as you move up the ladder, everything becomes specialized. You know what I'm saying? So now there's more information on, what is this? Like, for example, concussions. Okay, well, when you and I played, that you just got your bell rung, right? Yeah. You didn't. There was probably guys on our team that had concussions we didn't know about, but it's 100%. A good thing. And what happens is the more information you gather about, say, a concussion, then it becomes, well, this is how much time you need to heal from a concussion. Okay, so that ends up being public knowledge and everything. Like when it first came out, I remember I was at the University of Georgia because Ron Corson was the head of concussion protocol for the entire United States. And I got a list of, here are the concussion symptoms. I'm like, hell, I got these every day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so many things on there. And it's gotten a little bit better since then. But I think the education has said, okay, when this happens, this is how much time you need. Okay, so that's kind of affected it a little bit that way. Okay, I do think the one thing that a lot of guys are probably thinking about is the soft tissue injuries. You know, that is probably the biggest area, which I guess pitching could be involved in that with their arm and things like that. But in football, for example, the biggest issue is preventing the soft tissue injuries. That's the hamstrings, that's the groins, things like that. Okay, and that is stuff that even today we feel like we can control through hydration, through nutrition, through workload. Like, for example, our players will wear what we call a catapult, and we can tell you how fast they ran, okay? And we can tell you how much volume of work they had, okay? Well, based upon that volume of work, they go into, like, to give you an simple term, it would be like a green. Well, green's not necessarily good. It just means they didn't stress, right? Orange means there was stress in there and there was a workload, but it wasn't over the top. Well, then you get into the red. Well, when they're red, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That just means they worked hard that day, right? The issue is you don't want to have a red back to back. So let's say you have a red, your chances of injury day 3 go up. Okay. Mm-hmm. So therefore you end up, cutting that player's reps a little bit. All right. So some of that technology has been more preventative on the soft tissue injury thing. Now, to be honest with you, as you move up the ladder and like you talk about the National Football League, I think the biggest issue there is there's a combination of players are bigger, faster, stronger. So when you're hitting guys, I mean, there's a lot of velocity there, right? But to be honest, I mean, if you just look at it, really goes back to the owners wanting that extra game, okay? And what happened is players don't want to practice. Like, players don't want to practice. Like, they just don't want to practice, right? Players don't want to practice, and they don't want to be in the building or in the off season. They don't want to be around, okay? They would rather be free, which, I get it. So in the National Football League, what happened to get the extra game, the owners made concessions on like when they had to be in the facility mandatory in the off season, like this time of year. Okay. So like it's voluntary. You can't find guys or anything like that. So what happens is guys now can train on their own, and that's not as good as training with your strength coach or your sports science or however you want to do it, or you're training with guys that are the same type of athlete or have the same type of situation you have from a preparation to play, a full NFL schedule, right? So therefore your training's not the same, right? And that's just a fact. So then what happens is as guys come in and they're required to be there, they're not where they need to be. So then you have to make a choice. Okay, do I stay with what we need to get ready, or do I manage this guy and get him built and get him brought up? And now you're getting into the money aspect of it. Well, we have, $10 million invested in this guy. We need to have him ready to play, right? So therefore, a lot of times people will take the cautious approach, on that. Okay, I do think that there has to be a balance in. Look, for example, football is a tough sport. And it's physical sport, and you have to condition your body conditions to the elements you're in.
Right.
So therefore, you have to train that way to condition your body for a full, NFL season, and that's just a fact. If you just look at the amount of soft tissue injuries in the National Football League, I mean, they're very high, and they're high because preseason wise or this time of year, guys probably aren't training the way they have over the, say, last 10 years or before they changed the CBA from that standpoint of how you had to train.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The other aspect of that is remember back in the day, like Dallas and Detroit always had Thanksgiving Day games. Mm-hmm. That was a tradition, right? Well, a lot of the owners, and look, this is science driven too. always felt that was a big advantage for Dallas because they got to play at home on a short week, and it was like a mini bye.
Right.
Because once you played on Thursday, you were off all the way to the following Sunday. Well, that was obviously studied because they changed the rule, and because of the extra game. What happens now, if you look, like when I was in New Orleans, like, and every team does this now, we played 3 games in 15 days. Okay, so we played on a Sunday, then we played on a Thursday, and then we played it again on the following Sunday. Your body at that age, look, those are men, and your body is not made to play 3 games in 15 days. This is not. You can talk about toughness all you want. It's just not made. So what happens is something's going to break down, and it's going to be the soft tissue injuries, tendons, those kind of things. You know, that's where you're going to get your injuries. And it's just going to happen because your body's not made to do that. So because of the owners wanting the extra game, and now we got the extra game, and then it was the fact that, okay, how do we make this more equitable or fair, say to everybody, and let everybody have a Thursday game. Basically, every team plays 3 games within a 15-day run, and your body's not made to do that. So that's going to contribute to that, you know, to that deal, because they changed the rules the way you could practice. For example, you can only have one. You have 7. I think it's 7. You have basically 1 padded practice per week. Okay, and that's it. Now, I'll be honest with you. That's probably okay, to be honest, because you can get like, and where it hurts you is because honestly, during that 15-day span, you're not practicing a lot. I mean, you're not going in pads a lot because you have to get health. You got to get rest. So you're practicing and you're working, but you're in what we call these spiders, and you're getting your stuff. But like, you may take your pads out and get, you know, eight snaps of run period stuff, and that's it. But I mean, the whole rest thing now does become an issue. But at the end of the day, you only get 1 padded practice per week. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason that it's like that is they took out the bye week, so that way guys couldn't go out there Monday through Thursday and just go full tilt, right? So basically, if you use 4 that week, then you can't use them during the season. So it was allowed to give you a true bye, is the way that's why they did the rule that way. So at the end of the day, I think that ultimately it's a balance. You have to work hard. Okay. You got to strain your body, and you got to prepare it for whatever sport it is. I think science and technology has given us information that a lot of people try to be more preventative, you know, as far as, you know, making sure things don't happen. So that's when you get the issues you're talking about. And then it is training. You know what I mean? Like for example, like a lot of guys will say, hey, they'll train, but then they'll have other things that they do. Well, you don't need the other things. You need to be on one training segment. You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense. Like when I first went to Florida, one of the things we had to deal with there is they didn't feel like they worked hard in the weight room. Well, you know, we had Nick Savage, who was he's really next to Mike Gentry. He and Mike are the 2 best I've ever been around. And anyway, we had to keep those guys from training with guys locally, because, you know, those trainers, they want to get their money too. So they'd go train with them at night, and we had to get them out of that because like you now you become overtraining. And that's when a lot of things happen, is the overtraining. So a lot of the information I'm giving you is from a football perspective.
Sure.
So I'm sure the other sports have their own issues. I still don't understand the NBA because they haven't increased games or anything like that. And, you know, I see it a little bit in football with what's happening. But at the end of the day, the football aspect of it is guys aren't required to be at their facility as soon as they used to have to be. Okay, so now they're on their own. There is a 15-day stretch in there that is taxing for the players, and you got to manage all that. So then it's how do you get them ready for the season? And it's like anything, when you have that amount of money invested in something, you kind of take the soft approach, or the more, you know, approach to be cautious, just because if you lose them, it's like the Al Davis thing. I want to lose them on game day, you know, per se, and everything. So that's kind of how things have went from, say, high school or 2-a-days all the way up to what the NFL is today.
No, that's interesting. I guess I never thought about the overtraining part, you know?
Absolutely. Because your body needs to rest. You know what I'm saying? Like just like, for example, like Mike Gentry used to call it, hey, we grow on Wednesday. So we'd go Monday, Tuesday, off on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, and Coach Savage would do the same thing. Well, that part is really true because you have to rest. You have to give your body time to recover. And that thing, well, then if you're the kind of guy that says, well, I got to go train, well, all you're doing is really hurting your body from that perspective. So when we first went to Florida, we actually had to deal with that because we had a lot of guys that would go to a trainer and work on speed development and those kind of things, which we were doing. So now you're overtraining that aspect of your body. So you had to educate them and everything.
How much, I'm just bringing this up because it's something we talked about too. How much do players hate playing on the artificial surfaces as opposed to grass? We're seeing these soccer leagues won't allow it. When they're going to play here in the States on a plastic field, they put grass, they pay to have grass put in, right, for their players to play on it.
Players would rather play on the grass. I mean, the grass is much better. I mean, I understand it from a call standpoint. Now, some of the turf that is out there is pretty good as far as it's as good as you can get, but it's still not grass. My personal preference would be grass, but there are improved artificial turfs. It's not like the giant stadiums or even Temple back in the day when I was at Virginia Tech and we had to play at Temple, in the baseball stadium. I mean, it's much better than that was like playing on concrete, and everything. So the turf is much better, but at the end of the day, you would rather play on grass.
Yeah.
Because what happens is like the earth will move. Okay. Well, if you're on turf and it doesn't move, well, something's going to give. And that's when injuries can occur.
What do you guys have down there?
So we actually have turf. Unfortunately, we have turf, and that's that. And there's a lot of teams that have turf from a economic standpoint. You just deal with it.
Let's see. Morris wants to ask, hey, Todd, what's going on? Did you ever entertain or have the chance to come back to Tech over the last 15, 20 years or so during your journeys?
That's never came up. It's just been a situation where with where I was in my stay. I know that when they offered Fuentes the job, Whit did make a call to my agent, and it never went any further than that. So it kind of moved on down the road from that perspective.
I wondered about that too. Yeah, people always ask me about that because we want Todd here. We want Todd here. Well, Todd's got other interests too, right? He's going to do what's right for him, and his family, and so forth. What are some of the other question I got on the text line from Bobby says, ask Coach Grantham, what does he like best about the differentiation between the NFL and the college game? Because you've done it both at the highest level.
Well, I chose to be in college because I can control the roster better. I mean, as the defense coordinator in college football here, I get to choose the players. Now, obviously, the head coach is always going to have the final say, but he listens to here are the kind of players we need to build a roster. Look, the out of season, like this time of year, is much better in pro football, but I enjoy having more say over my development as far as let me choose the players that I want. When you're in the National Football League, you have a personnel side, and they get to choose the players that they think best fit you, but they're not coaches. Okay. And I think if that vision's not the same, and there are organizations where the vision is the same, I think they're the ones that are winning, and the ones that don't have the same vision are the ones that struggle. And I would rather have control over my future and have more say in personnel because look, I've had top 10 defenses, a lot of different schools, and I've had bad defenses. And generally speaking, when I had good players, we were pretty good. So, you know what I'm saying? So I like to have a say into the type of players that we're going to have on our defense.
Yeah, I guess that's a great point. If you're a coordinator in the NFL or you're coaching position, all of a sudden you're like, who do I have? Who are you guys sitting? Oh, okay. Well, you want to be able to take the time to look at these guys yourself and kind of choose. That makes perfect sense. I get that.
And your system. You know your system and what you need, and you can tell them that all they want, but then they're going to go on their charts of what they feel like has the biggest success rate and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes that doesn't match, and that's one of the reasons I chose to come back to college because I like to have control over my future.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. and good questions for Coach Grantham this morning. Maybe we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, man.
You settled into Birmingham now? Everything good?
I am. I'll be honest. Birmingham is an awesome place.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Like, I saw something the other day where, from a graduate standpoint, it's the top city from a growth perspective for graduates in the country. But just from a living standpoint, as far as like restaurants and things to do, it's a really cool deal. I mean, I enjoy it. So,
yeah, it's a good town. You know, they used to be Birmingham Southern, which is no longer a school. They used to be in the Big South.
I think the military, or an aspect of the military bought that. And you know, they got the Barons here now, so they got minor league baseball too, which I've yet to go to a game, but they have it. But the restaurants in general are really good.
Well, good. Well, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, good stuff as always, brother. We appreciate you, man. Answered a lot of good questions. Good stuff.
All right. Y'all be good. Take care.
All right, man. All right. Have a good week. We'll talk to you. All right. Yep. Todd Grantham, defense coordinator at UAB. Good stuff, man. Thanks for the questions for Todd. He doesn't mind answering them at all. He doesn't mind at all. Good stuff. We've had a lot of good stuff here today. Good conversation. This is why we have the program. Good stuff from all of you, whether you're on the McClellan chat room or if you're on the professional door text line here from our family fencing studios. Thank you all. Thanks to Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, NRV Super Bowl, Top Shelf Apparel, Brandon, Sundown Electric down in Elliston, the Ready Set Fund with Bob Christ, Professional Door, we mentioned for our text line, National Bank, member FDIC, the attorney Ryan Pry and Radford, Trust and Estate Planning, Little River Heating and Air, Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, talking with Tim Miller. You know how if you watch interviews with executives in the NFL, or if you watch a head coach for a collegiate team, and you watch an interview and you walk away from it and you go, yeah, now I completely understand why they're successful, right? When they talk about how they go about drafting, evaluating, and running their organization, you can easily tell the ones that aren't. When you have like Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller on, you just know that this Pulaski County and sports entertainment is just getting started. Like, they haven't even scratched the surface and they've already made all this progress. I can only imagine once they get comfortable in their own skin in the next 2 to 3 years, what this is going to look like. I mean, it's awesome. And I like to see it from the area specifically where I grew up in Pulaski County, because we lost so much industry, textile industries. A lot of people were moving out. You know, it was hard to even think about having depth for the Pulaski County football team. And it's nice to see it become, I don't know how else to say it, a meaningful place for people to want to live and to grow. It's nice to see it come back to that. It's always been a special place. And other things determine, you know, people have to go where their jobs are. So I get it, but this is going to help, I think, create a lot more stability. And it's going to attract outside businesses, right? They see the success, the growth from this aspect. Hey, look what they're doing. Why don't we decide to go there and see what we can do? It's good stuff. Agreed, Morris. Text loss. But, you know, Todd's been, you know, the NFL, a lot of times the NFL was where he was during those years too. You know, it's so great to know he's done it at the highest level, so many places. That's why I think he's really excited. This is different for him. It's the first time he's been at a non-power school. But because he gets to not only choose his own players, he gets to go out and make sure he has his exact recruits coming in. It has to be exciting for him where he is now. I could see where the NFL thing, you can talk about the money, and I could see where that would be a little bit of something that would wear you down a little bit. Never getting really to pick your guys. Maybe you get asked about a kid. Maybe. But I'm telling you, I think there's something about being a collegiate coach. Yeah, absolutely. Something about being at that level and developing, recruiting, who you're going to spend your money on. Isn't that interesting that your high school recruits, that you're looking at minimum, the minimum, whatever position, whatever it might be, the minimum is $100,000 to pay one. The minimum. Wow. And this is where we are. Blows me away. And I know it's not going to change, but that still is kind of hard to absorb, knowing how most of the rest of us work, and we don't see $100,000. Whew. And I know they don't get it all at once, but still. Good stuff today. We got a lot going on tomorrow. So much that I'm not even sure what the preview is going to look like. So I'll let you know. I know Truth Harris is going to join us. Former Radford Highlander, finished up at LaSalle with Darius, and we're going to go through his journey. I think it'll give us some nice insight from a basketball perspective. You know, we have had a lot of interchange with Virginia Tech's team and so forth. It might kind of give you some insight. So Truth's going to be on tomorrow. That'll be great. I know we'll have Burnup. I know we're going to have Marva, Brian Siegel, Coach Elmo. We got to work all these little things out. So, in other words, it's going to be jam-packed. I hope everybody gets through this very dreary, cold, horrible-looking Monday, because I'm looking outside right now. It's dreary. It looks cold, and it's raining. Yay, Monday. Thanks for stopping by. Great stuff. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel. Love your input. Always. It's great. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. We will see you tomorrow on the Tuesday edition.